Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Today's episode, we're going to talk about strength, we're going to talk about faith, we're going to talk about mindset. Definitely listen to this because I think there's some things you want to hear. Okay, we'll be back in a few with our guest. All right, everybody, welcome back. So we have today's guest, and her name is Leona Grigsby. Yes, she is actually my mother, but that is not the point of today's podcast. I really believe that her story is important to be heard, and I would like her to share different parts of it with you. Leona, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good. Thank you for joining us today. So, in the intro, I was telling the listeners that today's podcast is about strength, faith, and mindset. So that's kind of the theme that we're talking about today. But if you could, can you give us a background? What's your history?
You mean
Whatever, what
my
you can start.
medical? Okay.
You can start all the way back from the beginning if you'd like.
No, I won't go that far back.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
this is my second bout with cancer. My first bout was with breast cancer, and
Mm-hmm.
that was stage one, and that was
Mm-hmm.
cured.
Okay.
This,
Well, can you, not to interrupt, but can you let's dive more into that. Can
oh,
you talk about so then you are a cancer survivor,
yes,
correct?
yes,
Okay.
correct.
So then let's talk, if you could to give a little bit more detail about that. Like how did that come about? How were you diagnosed?
Sure,
Okay, with the breast cancer? Sure.
sure. I was one that had a mammogram every year, and I
Mm-hmm.
was going in for my annual mammogram. And I
Mm-hmm.
received a notification that I needed to come back in. Um, they saw something, so I went
Okay.
back in, and I had a second mammogram, and they said
Mm-hmm.
they needed to do a biopsy.
So
So
you would say that it's important for women to definitely do the yearly mammogram then, correct?
very important, yes,
Okay. Okay.
because they caught this. They caught this cancer early.
Mm-hmm.
It was stage
Mm-hmm.
one.
Sure.
So I went in and I had the biopsy done,
Mm-hmm.
and then they told me it was cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, now where do
Mm-hmm.
we go from here? So
Okay.
that's, I was talking to a doctor, and I wasn't very comfortable with this doctor because he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really giving me all the details. It was just, okay, this, and this, but not talking to me specifically. And I was by
Sure.
myself. And I'm saying that because at the time,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
husband had dementia, and I was
Mm.
also
Okay.
taking care of my husband. So,
Sure. So
um,
okay, well then I'm sorry, let me interject again.
sure,
So real quickly then, um, when you're diagnosed this first time, what can you talk about? Obviously, you touched on it with mindset. You're like, okay, this is cancer. What's our next steps, right?
right.
Can you can you kind of give me a little bit more description about your mindset at that moment, or your mindset in that brief period?
Well, at that time, my thought was, I don't have time to deal with breast cancer because I have a husband that has dementia. I know that
Okay.
sounds silly, but that's how I
Oh, it doesn't.
felt.
Not at all.
I
Sure.
thought, what is it that we need to do? Let's do
Hmm.
it so I can take care of my husband. That was
Okay.
my mindset. Um,
Yeah. So it
so,
sounds like a still like the mindset of a caretaker, of a protector, of let's deal with this and get it taken care of.
yes, that's how I felt.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
I guess I didn't really have time to say, oh, poor me, what am I going to do? Because
Hmm.
all of my focus was on my husband and taking care of him.
Okay.
So,
Sure. So
um,
so you didn't take time to even have the fear or being scared or any of that.
none of
It
that.
wasn't about what am I feeling. Okay.
No, I didn't have time for that. because
Mhm.
I thought, let's do what we have to do. And
Sure.
all up until um, I was going in for my pre-admission testing. That's when it was. And I was
Oh,
not quite
pre-admission to the
comfortable.
surgery. Is that
I'm sorry, it was just
pre
before the surgery.
pre-admission testing before the surgery, correct?
Yes, yes,
Okay. I just
which
wanted to
may
be
have been,
clear. Mhm.
I don't know if it was a week, 2 weeks, whatever it was.
Right,
But
right.
that doctor also wanted me to see um, a plastic surgeon, and he never
For
explained
reconstruction.
why. For
Oh, okay.
reconstruction, right? And I'm
Right.
thinking,
But
why
as you
didn't
said, they didn't explain.
right? He
Okay.
didn't explain anything. So when I went
Hmm.
in for pre-admission testing, the nurse
Hmm.
there sensed my discomfort about what was going on because I wasn't quite sure. And she
Hmm.
said, you can change your mind up until the day of surgery, even
Mm.
just before
That's
surgery. And I thought,
that's
really?
important.
And
Hmm.
she said, yes, this is your body. So
Mm.
thank goodness for that nurse, because
Yes.
at that point, I went to see a different doctor in the same
Was
building. I
but a
went
second
right
opinion.
then, set up an appointment,
Hmm.
and and I have to say, and I don't know if this makes a difference, but when I had the appointment for the other doctor, a
Hmm.
female, she said to me, "Why do you need to see a plastic surgeon?" I said, "I don't know. That's what the other doctor told me." And she said,
Ah.
"No, you don't have to do that." And she
Mm.
explained everything to me. This is what we're going to
Hmm.
do. Okay.
Hmm.
So, she
So
did.
can I
Yes.
circle? I want to circle back when you were talking to the nurse during your pre-admission testing.
Yes.
Um, Again, would you classify your discomfort as feelings of anxiety?
Yes, because
Okay.
I happened to overhear the doctor's nurse say something about the wire. And I thought, wire? What? See, now
Mm.
that should have been explained to me, or that's how I felt.
You exactly. That's what you want. This is a life altering decision, a life altering illness that you're dealing with, and you don't feel that you're being talked with. You're being talked to.
Right. And that
Okay.
was not explained to me. So when I
Sure.
went to the female doctor, and she said, "A
Hmm.
wire for what?" And I told her I didn't know. So she explained what she was going to do, which was, she said, "We will take a lymph node to test."
Hmm.
She said, "First of all, we'll take the growth, which was very,
Right.
very small. We'll take the
Hmm.
growth out,
Hmm.
and then we'll take a lymph node and see if there's any
Hmm.
cancer in that. And then we'll go from there." So I
Hmm.
felt very comfortable because she had explained everything to me.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
that was
So I want to ask you a question
sure.
at this point. So now that you've seen the second doctor,
Hmm.
and clearly it was a much different experience because you were talked with, things were explained to you.
Yes.
Um, what would you say in terms of like strength, right? Because like again, you mentioned you were taking care of your husband
Hmm.
who had dementia,
Hmm.
so you were by yourself.
Yes. Hmm.
Um, Speak to that. What made you, or I guess in hindsight, would you have taken a friend? Because I want to kind of point out, do you find strength? Where did you find the strength to do this alone, first of all? And then would you have found more strength in having someone else there?
It never occurred to me to take a friend with me.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, because my whole focus was, let's do what we have to do because I have to take care of my husband. But
Correct.
I
Right.
I believe that my faith had a lot to do with my strength, as far as saying,
Yeah.
"Mm, I have to do
Okay.
what I have to do because I have a husband to take
Right.
care of." And
Okay. So that's where your faith actually came in to play with this individual strength, the
yes,
soul. Okay.
yes.
Sure.
So, and not that my friends weren't willing, but I was not, I don't even want to say I wasn't open. It never occurred to me, your friends
Right.
can stand by you, but it wasn't that they
Well, again,
weren't.
you mentioned right. You mentioned you were already in this position of being a caretaker,
Yes,
so your focus was not on yourself. Your
exactly.
focus was on your husband as you were taking care of him
Yes.
with the dementia.
And my
Hmm.
my friends were very caring. Um, and
Hmm.
I'm sure at that time, and I was not aware of that, my friends were praying for me. Um,
Right.
but again, my
Which added
focus
to
was on
your
my
faith.
husband, not me. So,
Yeah.
um,
Your friends added praying for you added to your faith.
yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Hmm.
definitely.
Even though unknown to you, that definitely added. Okay, so let's fast forward to you had this second appointment with the second doctor, and so then they performed the surgery, and um, so talk about what the treatment options were, or yeah, you tell me what went on from there after surgery.
After surgery, she
Yes.
explained that there wasn't any cancer found in the lymph node that they had removed. Um,
Hmm.
and I was, I'm trying to remember if I was in the hospital overnight. I think I may
Hmm.
have been. I can't recall now. It was that long ago.
I think it was overnight.
Overnight,
I think it was
yeah.
overnight.
And so my husband, and even though he had dementia, he wasn't that
Hmm.
far gone, but he didn't. I don't think he really understood what was going on with me. So
Hmm.
one of my friends came with me and my husband and brought me home. My husband's driving,
Hmm.
so he knew something happened. But anyway,
Right.
she helped me. Um, she made sure that I was settled and made sure everything
Oh,
was,
you're saying after you were from the
yeah, from
hospital
the
from the
hospital.
surgery. Got
When I
it.
came home
Okay.
from the hospital,
Sure.
and she made sure
Hmm.
everything was okay. And then she went home, but she checked on
Right.
me
So
all the time.
I wanted let's fast forward to the treatment
Hmm.
options and again, what mindset did you have and what was going on with that once that was discussed with the doctor?
Well, what the doctor said was, we don't need to remove your breast because the lump was so small. We could just remove the lump and we'll take the lymph node and we'll go from there.
Hmm.
And what
Okay.
you will probably need, and what she said was chemo and radiation. And I thought, okay.
Okay.
And I
Hmm.
was okay with that. So
Hmm.
she scheduled the chemo and I had chemo first. And
Hmm.
when
Well, can you speak to any again, any anxiety or fear that you had with treat
actually
with
I didn't
excuse me, with
I didn't have any fear or anxiety with treatment. Again, my
okay, well,
mindset
yeah.
was, I don't have time for this. I have to do what I
Okay.
have to do so I can take care of my
Right.
husband. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
would go to treatment, and then after
Hmm.
the chemo treatment, and I forgot whether I had 8 or 12 rounds of chemo, and then I
Hmm.
went into radiation. And the radiation was
Okay, so
concentrated. It,
you did the chemotherapy first, and
yes, I did the
then
chemo
once it
first,
was
and then the
finished, on to
radiation.
radiation.
Um, they
Hmm.
they allowed me to, well, allow the surgery to heal, and
Hmm.
after so many chemo treatments, then okay, let's do the radiation.
Hmm.
Now, if
Okay.
people are clear as to what radiation is, it's burning.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
so I had a,
No, thank you for the clarification.
I'm sorry.
Hmm. No, I said thank you for the clarification. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
So I have a friend, another friend who had
Hmm.
just had surgery, had her breast
Sure.
removed. She had her breast
Hmm.
removed. I did not. And she
Hmm.
explained to me what I was going to go through with the radiation. So he
Hmm.
said, my sister's a physician, and this is what she
Hmm.
recommends that you put on your breast before you go for radiation, which was very helpful
Okay.
because it
Okay.
helped to heal it quicker and faster, and it didn't
Sure.
burn as badly. So,
Okay. So, another question here. While you're going through the chemotherapy, then while you're going through radiation, um, and clearly with the friends that you
mhm.
have, and this friend in particular who explained what you would need and what's going to help. Did the preparation help? How did the preparation affect your mindset, or did it affect it at all?
Actually, it really didn't affect my mindset. Um, and the
Hmm.
chemo treatment, the chemotherapy that I had, they were
Yes.
very powerful drugs that took my hair. So,
Hmm.
and I say took my hair, I decided to have my head shaved because my hair was
Okay.
coming out in patches. So I just had my head
Hmm.
shaved. And I
Hmm.
started wearing wigs. But then when I went for
Hmm.
radiation, the technician said, however you start radiation, we have to do the same thing every time because they measure to
Okay.
make sure there's the right spot and everything has to be the same.
Let me pause you
Yes,
for a second. Make sure your mouth is by the phone
and
or whatever
I'm not
you're
hearing
on.
you very loud either. You sound very far away. I don't know what that's about.
Okay. 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 Okay, cool. Let's continue. I can hear you
Oh,
better
you
now.
hear me
Can you
better,
hear
but
me
I
better?
don't hear you better. You sound so
Yes.
far away. Anyway, so where was I? Oh, about
Talking
the
about the
radiation.
radiation and how you start
So
and have to
the
finish it.
first
Hmm.
one, I went in and I had a wig. And when the technician told me that, I said, oh, well, we're not going to do this. So I took the wig off and I thought, this is what we're going to do each time. So,
Okay.
so that worked.
Well, and so actually, I want to ask about that
Yes.
then. With the again going back to mindset,
Yes.
right? Um, was the mindset to get the wigs because it made you feel better and you didn't want other people to see you the hair
Hmm.
loss? Can speak to that for a
Well,
little bit if you can.
actually, I thought it was a good opportunity for me to the wigs made me feel like not that I had different personalities, but it's like I was like dressing. Oh, I wear this wig this time, and I'll
Sure.
wear this wig another time,
Right.
and I'll just wear different wigs. It was a
Okay.
novelty for me.
So it wasn't again out of
No,
shame or out of
no,
embarrassment. It was a mindset of, oh, I have a new cool accessory.
yes, that's pretty much how
Okay.
it was. Oh,
Okay.
oh,
So I want to ask you then, again, and I'm sure this might be a repeat answer, but so like it seems very positive, and that is critical, obviously, to healing. It's critical to our physical and mental well-being. How speak to how you are have been able through this whole ordeal with breast cancer to have a positive mindset. Like you lost your hair, yet you're having fun with wigs.
right, right. The
So speak to that if you
Sure,
can.
the losing of my hair did not bother me. Um,
Right.
and it grew. I mean, it started to grow back by the time I had radiation. But like I said, I was wearing
Hmm.
wigs not because I was embarrassed of being bald. I just thought, oh, this is neat. I can, wear different kinds of wigs, whatever, short one, long one,
Yes.
whatever.
As your son, I will interject that you had fun with your blonde
Yeah,
wig.
I
Yes.
did. Oh, I did have fun with that. But
Yes.
again, I believe that I've always been a positive person. And it's
Okay.
not in my makeup to fold and say, oh, poor me. Um, from the
Mm.
time I was very
Hmm.
young, it was okay.
Sure.
Where we go from here? What do we need to do? And just move ahead. That's how I see
Okay.
life.
So that's the foundation was set for your mindset of being positive and moving forward and not wallowing in self-pity long enough to be frozen. Was set long time ago. Okay. Long
A-
time ago.
As I matured and grew in Christ, my
Uh-huh.
positivity was strengthened even more because I
Yes.
knew that I belonged to Christ, and whatever happened to me, he would take care of me. So I did not worry about things like that.
Oh, so but you're saying even as growing up, that was your faith has always been part of your strength.
Yes, yes, it has been.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, definitely. That's important to know. Um, okay, so let's fast forward. You to the end of you finish the treatments with the breast cancer,
Yeah.
and let's go from there.
Okay, and I believe that was in 2014.
Okay.
And so we move ahead and
So yeah, briefly, let's circle back to this real quick. Briefly talk about again, and I think it's going to be another repeat answer, but the kind of mindset that you had. Just I want to put the facts out there. You were going through breast cancer treatments while being a caretaker.
yes,
Yeah, can you speak to that, please?
I don't know what else to say except that
Other
I
than the
had,
repeat answer.
I
Yeah.
had to take
Uh-huh.
care of my husband, and
Yeah.
my whole mindset was I don't have time for this. And I know
Right.
that sounds so simple, but that's how
Mhm.
I really felt. I don't have time to worry about breast cancer. I've got to take care of my husband who has dementia. So, and
And that allowed you to um a certain amount of strength, I guess. Strength of treatment, strength of, I'm taking all precautions, whatever that means,
mhm.
in order to do what you felt was the most important thing at that time.
And I had just retired to
Hmm.
take care of my husband. So
Hmm.
I had just retired, and a month after I retired, I was diagnosed with
Yes.
breast cancer. So
Right.
yes,
Right.
um,
Okay.
yeah. So that's where I was with that. Yeah,
Gotcha.
like I don't have time
Okay.
for this. I don't have time.
Gotcha.
Um,
So we get through treatment and let's fast forward to now. Okay. I guess that's, we're fast forwarding, what, 4, 5, 6 years from now.
yeah.
So what is your medical status now?
Now I have colon cancer, and I know it's not a funny thing, but
You know,
um,
yes, we don't laugh as it's funny,
no,
but go ahead.
no. And now I do know other people that have had two and three different types of cancers and have
Yes.
survived those. So,
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
but anyway, again, at this point, my husband had
So
passed
okay.
in 2016. So I
Hmm.
was sort of finding myself, not finding myself. How do I want to say that?
No,
I was,
no, that sounds no, you were yeah, that is a thing because you were married for
yeah,
45 years.
yeah.
You had finished being a caretaker.
Hmm.
So that's a new thing now.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, you're a widow, but what does that mean? What does that
Exactly. What did
involve?
that mean? And what do I do now? Because I'm not working anymore. I'm retired.
Right, right,
I'm not
right,
a caregiver. What
right,
do I do? So
right.
I was trying to figure out who I was and what I mean
Hmm.
in my own right. Not that I wasn't who I
Yes,
was with my husband, but even
yes,
though
yeah.
we're here.
This
So
is this is right, a new ball game. Absolutely. So let's fast forward to now, or not quite now,
mhm.
but when were you diagnosed with the colon cancer you have now?
2018, December 2018. And
Hmm.
October 2018, I went to Houston to help my granddaughter because she
Hmm.
was having a baby. Now,
No, her
her
first
first, yeah,
baby
not
as
just
well.
a baby,
Yeah.
she's her first
Yeah.
pregnancy. And I need to say,
Hmm.
her mother, my daughter, died in
Hmm.
2006. So she asked for my help, and of course, I was going to help her. But
Sure.
I also have to
Absolutely.
say, I need to back up and say,
Okay.
in
Yeah.
in 2008, I had a
Hmm.
colonoscopy. My
Okay.
colonoscopy showed no polyps. Everything was clean. And they told me I didn't
Hmm.
have to have another one for 10 years. And I thought, oh, that's great because,
Right. Not having to do that every year or
right,
like a mammogram.
well, or
Okay.
even every 5 years, because people I had talked to said they had
Hmm.
colonoscopies and they had to come back in 5 years. And I thought, oh, I don't have to
Well,
go
right.
back
Okay.
for
So
10.
you didn't, right. You felt, right. I got 10 years. Not, I don't have to do this again for 10 years again. Okay. Okay. Sure.
So fast forward, I was busy with whatever I was busy with. And the
Hmm.
10-year mark, I guess, would have been January 2018. Well, that month
Okay.
passed me by. And
Hmm.
I know what it was. I was caught up helping my granddaughter. And then when she,
Right. So yeah, so you did 2018 kind of flies by a little bit
exactly,
and rescheduling was on your mind, but it wasn't a super priority because the first check in 2008 um, it clearly had no issues.
exactly,
So
exactly. And
no reason
I didn't have
that I
any,
need to rush this.
I, I
Right.
didn't have any problems. And I
Right.
went down to Houston in uh, 2018, October 2018.
In October.
Yeah,
Hmm.
October. Well, I was there for 2 months to help her with
Hmm.
this new baby. So
Hmm.
the last, it was almost time for me to come home. Actually, I was supposed to go to
Hmm.
DC for Thanksgiving, but the
Hmm.
last
Hmm.
2 weeks I was there, I had these sharp pains in my abdomen,
Hmm.
not knowing what it
Hmm.
was. Well, when it was
Sure.
time for my flight home, my granddaughter, poor thing, was telling me about the pain in her abdomen. And I thought, I'm sorry, but I'm going home. So,
Right.
but grandma, what
Right.
should I do? Go to urgent care? I don't know, but I'm catching my flight
Well,
home.
well, we can have a podcast about that particular
Yeah,
day another
yeah,
time.
because you remember
That
that.
could be a whole
Anyway,
podcast. Yes.
so I flew home and
Sure.
she had appendicitis. I should feel guilty. She had appendicitis. So she had to go in
Yeah.
the hospital. She just had a newborn. I had to go back
Yes.
down to Houston because she couldn't really, hold the baby or carry the baby or anything. So I was there for another
Right.
couple of weeks. Well,
Right.
when I came home, I did go to my
Hmm.
doctor's office
Hmm.
and he thought that, yeah, I might have appendicitis. So um,
Hmm.
he sent me home. I came home. He called me and he said, you need to go to the emergency room. And I thought, okay. So I probably have
Right.
appendicitis. So one of my friends drove
Hmm.
me to the emergency room. Well, they
Hmm.
sent me from one hospital to another one. And we're laughing and talking
Hmm.
because I'm thinking, oh, I have to have my appendix out. Well, I met
Hmm.
the surgeon
Hmm.
who said, it's not appendicitis. You have a
Hmm.
tumor that has to come out tomorrow morning. So I didn't even have time
Wow.
to get a second
To-
opinion.
or there was no time to even think, wait a minute, this is what is going on
Right.
here.
And
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
and he told me that they biopsied, I guess they biopsied the tumor and that it was cancerous
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
this is what it is. So, okay.
Hmm.
So there again
Hmm.
with my positive attitude, fine. What do we do
Hmm.
and how do we go from here? Well, you're going to have surgery tomorrow morning.
And just quickly for our listeners to get a sense of the size of this tumor, do you
Yes,
remember the
the
size
size of a
of the tumor that they
baseball.
said?
That's
Yes.
what he said, the size of a baseball.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
Um, actually, and I had surgery that next morning, and while I was in the
Hmm.
hospital, and no, none of this is humorous, but I'm just saying this is how God works. So my
Yes.
oncologist from breast cancer walked past my room in the hospital and said,
Hmm.
Leona, what are you doing here? And before I could explain, he said, never mind. I'm going to the desk and I'll read your what's going
Hmm.
on. Well, he
Hmm.
came back to
Yep.
my room looking down and gloom and doom, and
Hmm.
told me how
Yeah.
serious this was. And he said, I'm going to be on your team. I said, great, that's fine with me. He said, Leona, this is very serious. I said, I understand that. What do we
Hmm.
need to do? So,
Well, and let me ask you this. While again, since we're talking about, mindset, strength, and faith, that kind of thing, this is what this is about. What does that do for you when you see your oncologist from your previous bout with cancer, with breast
mhm.
cancer? How did that help you, or in any way? Can you speak to
Oh,
that?
yes, I was very comfortable. Now, he, I guess I
Hmm.
could have said, you don't need to go read my chart or it's none of your business or any of that. But I was so comfortable with
Hmm.
him having been my oncologist and I had a lot of
Sure.
faith in him that I
Hmm.
didn't mind that he went and read and said, I'm going to be on your team. I'm like, "Oh,
Right. So any fear or anxiety or anything that you may have had over that next 24 to 48 hours or whatever it is, that
I didn't,
could have gone away
yeah,
because of the
right,
oncologist. Yeah.
right. I
Okay.
didn't have any fear because I thought,
Hmm.
oh, I know him. He knows me. He knows my history. This is all great. The surgeon
Sure.
who did my surgery, I did not know, but he and I quickly
Right.
developed a good relationship. And I think he must
Yes.
have seen also my positivity. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I know um,
Hmm.
um, that the morning of the surgery, my friend was
Hmm.
uh, in the hospital with me and they were prepping me for surgery or getting ready to have me prepped for surgery. And so we were praying, and the
Hmm.
surgeon came in, he stood there. And so she finished the prayer and he chimed in with amen. Okay. So he's the
Okay.
one that did the
Okay.
surgery. But
So another incidence
yes.
where your strength of
Mhm.
faith really is what feeds your mindset.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Okay.
again, I didn't
Okay.
have any fear or,
Hmm.
this. We put this in God's hands, and it was okay.
Hmm.
Um, so then I came home, and they wanted me to
Hmm.
heal a little bit from the surgery before I started chemo. Now, I
Sure.
did not realize, not, yeah, I guess I should say this. I didn't realize
Hmm.
how serious this surgery was.
How major
It
of a
was
surgery? Correct.
major
Hmm.
surgery, and I was in bad shape, and I
Yes.
didn't realize it. But my
Hmm.
community of friends chipped in. They all came in. They took care of my meals. They took care of me
Hmm.
because you, being my only child, was living in DC, and you could not be there for
Hmm.
me for that. You were there for the surgery. Yeah,
Physically
physically,
correct.
you couldn't be there.
Hmm.
So
Right.
they took
Right.
care of everything that needed to be taken care of. And
Yes.
yes, so I got through that and
Hmm.
then started the chemo.
Hmm.
Um,
So, oh, okay. So I don't know. Again, for our listeners, I don't know if we clarified your diagnosis that yes, you had colon cancer. But can you speak to the
oh,
diagnosis? Is it not necessarily what stage,
oh,
but clearly we talked about the breast
yes,
cancer,
the
so
diagnosis for
mentioned that.
the
Yeah.
colon cancer is terminal. They they were
Yes.
very clear. Both of my doctors, my surgeon
Mhm.
and my oncologist, said there is no cure for the type of cancer that you have. And I said,
Yes, which is peritoneal
yes,
carcinoma. For our listeners, it's peritoneal carcinoma.
peritoneal.
Basically, it's the lining across the inside of the
Thank you.
stomach.
Thank you for
Yes.
that. That's what they
Yeah.
were telling me. And I
So,
still was okay.
well, oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I my
Hmm.
whole
Hmm.
attitude was okay. I get that.
Right. Right. That's why I wanted to point
Hmm.
that out, or wanted you to point it
Hmm.
out, because that's
Hmm.
critical, I
Hmm.
think, to understanding your particular mindset.
Yes.
That is what I wanted our listeners to come away
Hmm.
with. Yeah. So, We can fast forward. We're talking about that was December, January of
Mm-hmm.
2018. So now that we're in
Mm-hmm.
2020,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'd like to speak to um, what do you do now? Like how have things progressed or regressed or whatever? But how is your mindset? How is your
Mm-hmm.
faith? What speak to that about how that happens? What do you deal with
Well,
mentally,
yes. Well,
emotionally?
let me say this, in case your listeners think that I was in denial.
Hmm.
I was not in denial.
Sure.
I was very clear
Hmm.
that this is terminal, and I was okay with that. When I say I was okay with
Yes.
that, my feelings are that when God is ready for me to go, I'll be ready to go.
Hmm.
I will be okay. So I
Hmm.
just needed to know, okay, what do we need to do? How do we do this?
Sure.
And let's go
Hmm.
for it. And again, that was my attitude.
Yes.
So
And I'll actually interject here a little bit. Obviously, I know the situation. I know that we talked about
mhm,
that. We talked about because it's
mhm,
terminal, your choice. Do you want to not treat it and live out whatever life is
mhm.
left? Or, as the doctor said, there's no cure at the moment. So this will be palliative
Exactly.
care.
Yes.
It could still, whatever life you have
Hmm.
left. And that is the choice that you
Yes.
made.
Yes. And
Okay.
the doctor said
Yeah.
to me, it depends on what your body can handle, how you can handle
Mhm.
this, meaning emotionally and mentally. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
that all had something to do with the treatment. And um,
Hmm.
in my naive mind, I was like, "Oh, I can handle it. I can," because I, figured I'll do what I have to do. I had no
Right.
idea how this was going to take me down, and I mean, take me
Right.
down.
Yes.
Um, and I have
Yes.
to say, took me
Yeah.
down to a point where I had no appetite. I could not eat. And I told
Mhm.
you, if I can't enjoy eating,
Yes.
because I love food, what what's the point? So I
Correct.
lost
Correct.
50 pounds. And that may not sound like a lot,
Yes.
but they were concerned.
But a lot when you're deal it's a lot when you're dealing with that
Yeah,
aggressive treatment
and
that you're
that's what it
receiving.
was,
So,
aggressive treatment. And the doctors did tell
yeah.
me, now we don't want you to lose too much weight. Well, I didn't know what that meant. They didn't give me a number, they didn't say too much weight. But I mean, I
Right.
dropped 50
Yeah.
pounds in like no time. Um,
It was
and
pretty
and they
fast.
were
Yeah.
getting concerned. Well, for
Hmm.
whatever reason, my appetite came back. and and I
Your new purpose for life.
and I started eating whatever I could eat, whatever could stick with my body. And my friends were
Yeah.
so good. Well, here,
Yeah.
try this, try this. And I was eating whatever would stay with me because I didn't want to lose any more
Sure.
weight. But then
Sure.
my
Sure.
son and his wisdom, that that would be you.
Oh boy. I
Talk to
sure.
me.
You can just say your son and
Okay.
his coaching
Talk to
training.
me about what I was eating, when I was eating, and how I was eating.
Mhm.
Now, at first, I didn't care as long as I could eat, but it was really
Right.
um, wreaking havoc with my digestive system.
Mhm.
And mm,
Because your digestive system had been pretty much
yes,
reconstructed.
yes,
It was not the
no.
same as it was
And the
pre-surgery.
surgeon told
So,
me your digestive system will never
yeah,
be the same. Well, I didn't know what that meant. I
correct.
know now. He took part of my colon and he said about a foot
Yes.
of my intestines. And when I said a foot, and he
Yes.
said, "Oh, you have so much more. It's not going to matter." So, um, so yes, and the good thing about
Mhm.
it is I don't have a colostomy bag because I could have a colostomy bag.
Mm.
I think that speaks
Okay.
to the surgeon. And I
Sure.
also
Sure.
think that that speaks to who God has put in my life to take care of me. So,
Sure. Sure.
yes, so I'm back to eating, but I watch what I eat, when I eat, and how I eat. So it has made a difference.
Yeah.
And I seem to be doing okay. I mean, I have my good days and not so good
Hmm.
days. I don't ever have bad days, but there are days that I'm like, not as good as others. But I'm still in
Sure.
chemo and still have an
Hmm.
appetite, and I'm doing pretty good.
Hmm.
I think a lot of people think
Sure.
that I am in bed. I am not in bed. I get up every morning. I shower.
No,
I get. I'm
you are
not
not
well.
bedridden.
I'm not well.
You are not. You are
No, I'm
not
not
bedridden.
at all. And I have to say, I have a dog who is my companion.
Hmm.
So that forces me
Hmm.
to get up in the morning, take care of my dog because he
Hmm.
needs to go out, and then take care of him.
Sure.
But I get up every morning and I shower, I get dressed, and I I do what I
Yeah.
need to do through the day. And go ahead.
So, oh, sorry. So I was just going to say, I just wanted, few more questions, and we
Sure.
can wrap it up. But if you could speak to, again, this is a mindset
Hmm.
thing, the difference between living with cancer or dying
Right.
of cancer. Can you
Yes,
speak to
I
that,
am
please?
living with cancer. I don't see myself as dying of cancer, even though I know my
Hmm.
days are numbered, but I don't know what number it is. But I'm living
Hmm.
with, and I'm going to
Hmm.
live as
Well,
much as I can while I can.
and okay, and also say, what does that mean to you, living with cancer as opposed to
Okay.
dying of
If
cancer? What
I
does
am
that mean?
capable of doing something, I'm going to do it. Uh, like going to the
Hmm.
store, something.
Hmm.
But I'm very careful, especially now with this little quarantine. I'm very
Yeah,
careful about
yeah.
what I do because I am in that percentage of people who are elderly and immune system is
High
compromised.
risk.
So I
Yeah.
have to be very careful.
Well, I will say this
Yeah.
before COVID-19 and
Yes.
before the pandemic, there was a specific time where you and I had
Hmm.
a conversation, and it was about going to someone's either birthday party or
Yes.
a celebration. I
Yes.
forget what it was. And at the time, I'm not so sure your mindset was at the point where I'm going to
Hmm.
live
Hmm.
fully with this. You the plans that you had made had
Right.
kind of fallen through, and you had called
Hmm.
me and we talked about it. And I said, "Well, are you truly
Hmm.
living with cancer or are you not? Because if you're living with cancer, just because the one plan that you made, that shouldn't
Hmm.
derail everything. If this is something you truly want to do, then let's figure out how to make it happen."
Yes. I mean,
Remember posing
and I
that question to you. Are you
yeah.
truly living with cancer or are you just kind of
And
giving us
and I
lip
remember
service,
that conversation because you're right. When my plans fell
Yeah.
through, and I said, "Well, I just won't go," and
Right. You started feeling
yeah,
sorry for yourself
for
and like,
for
oh,
about a minute,
yeah.
and then I thought,
Yeah, yeah,
then I
not
thought,
for a
oh,
long time, but
okay,
correct.
yes, I guess
Yeah.
I can make other plans, and I called other friends, and we were able to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sure. And you went right,
Oh
and you
yes,
went and made it
yes.
happen.
Mhm.
So yeah, I appreciate the fact of what
Mhm.
you're putting out there, that you're living with cancer. There are many people who have disabilities. There are many people who have all types of things. Not
Mhm.
again, not just cancer, but it speaks to mindset of and no one has told you any of this. This is something that
Yeah.
you draw on from yourself. You draw on your faith, you draw on your
Mhm.
friends, you draw on your family, but it's a mindset that you have that you
Mhm.
want to live. And yes, you have limitations with what you can and cannot do, but it doesn't stop you from living. Would that be
That's
accurate to
very
say?
accurate. It does not stop me from living. Um, I want to enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, enjoy my life for whatever life I have left. And I do what I'm able to do. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm capable of doing it, I'm going to do it. So that's what I do.
Sure.
Except
Sure.
that I'm not allowed to drive.
Okay.
I'm not allowed, according to my son, to drive out of state by myself. I have to have
Correct.
company, and I understand that because of my energy level. And I do,
Mm.
yes,
There's some
and I
physical
do
limitations
lose
that you have.
energy
Correct.
sometimes, depending on when my treatments are.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, other than that, I feel like I'm
Sure.
doing great, and God has blessed me because every day I open my eyes and He has given me another day. Yes, I
You're
am.
still
I'm
here.
still here. So I thank you.
Yes. So one last thing, if there was anything that you would want our listeners to come away with, what is one thing that you would like our listeners to have
That you don't
in
ever
closing?
give up because of a situation. Um, you need to be positive and think about, well, what can I do, not what can't I do. Or how people always say, I don't
Mm-hmm.
have this or I don't have that, I can't. Okay, let's think about
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
I do have and what I can do. I still have my
Yeah.
mobility. I can move around. Um, I I still
Yes.
have my senses. I think I have good sense. Um, so you don't
Mm-hmm.
focus on what you don't have or what you can't do. I think we need to focus on what we
Mm.
can do and what we do have. And that's how I stay so positive.
I love that. I love that. And that is the perfect ending
Well, thank
to our segment. So, yeah, I thank you so much. I very, very much appreciate you coming on today to give your story and share about your faith and your mindset and strength and how that affects your life. I truly,
You're
truly appreciate
welcome.
that. Thank you very much. Okay. And maybe we'll have you on for another
Okay,
podcast
I
about
hope
other
so.
things.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. And listeners, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this, and we'll see you
Bye
next
bye.
time.